Yeah, baby. What's up? Next day, November 30th. I looking for these pants. I was up early this morning, very early this morning. From a bad dream. Yay. I had to go to the hardware store yesterday, the one I used to work at, and I was talking to a lot of new faces there. That place has a huge turnover rate. Just to kind of give you, I know I've talked about it briefly before, what it was like to work there, but a ton of new faces, so, there's that. I haven't even been gone for a year, 8 months, 9 months, something like that. I don't know. But anyways, was talking to a few of the guys I was pretty good friends with there, and it's like they're still going through the same crap, and man, this is like the fourth time this has happened. But I was talking to my one buddy, and he was just like, yeah, the owner he asked about you again. He was like, yeah, I don't know why Josh left. It's mind-boggling to me. I think that's why I had a bad dream, because it was stressing me out. He was just very. How do I explain this without talking about it too much, going into too much detail? I first got hired there. My daughter left her sled out here. It's full of water, and she had her T-Rex in there, and now it's frozen. That made me laugh. I had to show that to you guys. I first got hired there. It's weird. I could never really get a read on the guy, because I was pretty desperate. And at the interview, the owner interviewed me, and he was like, so okay, what are you looking for pay wise? And I was like, honestly, like I said, I was pretty desperate, so I was like, you know what? If I can get $13 an hour, I'll be happy. He's like, well, we like to start people out here at 15. I appreciated him doing that. That was nice. So that's what I mean. I have trouble getting a read on this guy, because he would do things like that. And, but then, towards the end there, we were having a lot of problems with, I started there at the bottom, and then I think it was like 7 or 8 months later, I was assistant manager. Just to also kind of give you a gauge too, and my work ethic and what I'm capable of, right? So, he would do nice things like that, but then towards the end, we were having problems with the other managers and people that worked in the office, and just lying, being rude, and I mean not just like. Hey, you messed this up, and you know how to do this. It's like the first store meeting we ever had there. The owner, I was new. It was like a month after I got hired, right? We're doing the whole meeting thing or whatever, and he goes, Josh, you're new. Is there anything you want to add? Any questions you had? And I was like, and I used to do. One of my first big boy jobs was I trained. I worked for a company called Johnny Rockets, a restaurant, and they used to send me around the country, mostly Midwest and East Coast. But they used to send me around the country. I'm 19, 20 years old at the time, to train new staff. And I did that for a few years. And open new stores, train new staff. They would send me into older stores that were struggling with sales and stuff to kind of go in, do some retraining, just to help them kind of understand maybe what's going on at the store. I'm putting wood in the wood burner. So just to preface for what I'm about to say. So, he's like, hey, Josh, you're new. Do you have anything you want to add or any questions? I was like, well, we could really use some training and structure around here is what I noticed. It's like, we don't need training around here. It's like, okay, meeting's over. Okay. But then, like him and the other managers and people, they'd be like, something would happen. I'm trying to think of a scenario. One time for Christmas, I was buying a Christmas present. I was using my discount. We didn't have any in the store, so I had to order it off the website. There's a process you got to do that. Well, I did that process. No sooner did I put the order in, the person that worked in the office came flying down the stairs, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, you need to learn how to do this. You did it wrong. You charged the customer the wrong price, and now we're going to have to pay for it. And I was like, I was with my discount. Is there anything else you want to say? She kind of put her tail between her legs and walked away, right? Things like that would happen. Or, when I became a manager, they gave me a card to for the cash registers so I could do overrides, but then so I could also ring people out if we were short-staffed or got a little busy and I needed to help out the cashiers or something. That makes sense, right? Cross training. Well, they never trained me on it. So that would happen, and I'm trying to learn and figure out how to do the register with this ancient system. Didn't even matter how old or new it was. I'd never done it before. It was very complicated, though. And I was slowly figuring it out, but then they would get frustrated at me because I rang something up wrong or I was doing it too slow, and it's like, dude. And a lot of this would come from the owner, too. And I'm just like, dude, we need some training, And he would get, cocky or smart with me, like the day after the meeting, when I mentioned it, we need training, he asked me to help him and some other staff members in the warehouse, and he's like, I can't even remember what it was. We were lifting some water heaters up to a shelf or something. He's like, okay, Josh, this is what we do. Here's your training. We're going to lift these up and put them up there, okay? Here's your training. It's like, that's the type of shit I had to put up with for a year and a half, because I'm trying to pay bills and make ends meet, right? So anyways, long story short, long story long story a little shorter. This is the fourth time this has happened. I go into the hardware store they used to work at yesterday. I'm talking to my friend, and he goes, yeah, the owner was asking about you. He still wants to know why you quit. He knows, but he doesn't want to get involved, right? Not the owner, my friend that I was talking to. And I'm like, dude, we were having issues there at the end. He asked me what needs to be changed. I started to tell him. He immediately starts talking over me, tells me I'm wrong, and then accused me of being offended. I think you were getting offended there, pal. And, we were having issues with people quitting. They were having issues with people quitting beforehand. And his solution to that all the time was just to pay people more. So people would temporarily stick around most of the time, not always, because they're getting paid more. But there's only so much crap you can put up with where the money is just not worth it. And if you guys don't know, working at a restaurant or retail, that high pay caps pretty quick because you can't pay someone working retail for $30 an hour or something crazy. It's just you just can't. There's just not it's just how the business works. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't want to get into the politics of it or whatever, but it's what it is, right? So he did that, and that was the last straw for me. I was like, there was the assistant manager that was there. I took his place. He was working another place, which was the last job I had. He was like, hey, man, we need a guy doing YouTube videos at our place. They're trying to get a marketing team going, and they need someone that can shoot and edit videos for the marketing team. And I recommended you. You should apply, right? So I applied, got the interview, and they were like, they were going through a lot of changes. Probably still are. Ended up not being a very good company to work for. I was having the same issues, but anyways. They were like, we're not quite ready for your video skills, but we do have an open position as a sales job, and it was a wholesaler for selling security system equipment. And right before I was working at the hardware store, I was working for my buddy installing security systems. So I kind of already had some knowledge, right? So I'm like, okay, I mean, I could do this. So when I got that job offer, making twice as much as I was at the hardware store too, I put my 2-week notice in. And I guess I did it at the end of the day on a Friday. I had that weekend off. Saturday I went in. I had to get some stuff. I was working on a project here at the house. And the manager came up to me and was like, hey, I told the owner that you put your 2 weeks notice in. He said just to let you go. So he fired me, right? Or he was going to lay me off, because that's the other kind of stuff that would happen too. It's like he would lay people off like permanently. I'm assuming to get around certain laws or something. I don't know. And I was talking to my buddy yesterday too. There's been some thing with breaks, which every company I work at, there's always issues with breaks and paid breaks and unpaid breaks. How long you can take a break. People need a break. I don't understand what you managers and owners are doing out there, but it's like people need a break, okay? But what it was their policy was Monday through Friday, you get a half-hour break, and on the weekends, you can take a 15-minute break. You had to clock out for it, right? I was just like, whatever. That's fine. Well, my buddy yesterday was saying how he was getting crap from the managers there for taking a 15-minute break. He's also a manager. And he took a 15-minute break on a Sunday, I think, and something happened, and he was unaware of it. So come Monday, they were like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. What? And they're like, well, you're a manager. You should know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, well, because they got a bad review or something online. And they were like, oh, what happened such and such time from what the review said? And he was like, oh, I was on my 15-minute break. And they're like, you can't take a break. Like, what? And then he asked the owner about it. He's like, no, you could take a 15-minute break. You just got to clock out. And I kept thinking about that, and I looked it up. I did a little bit of digging. I mean, like 5 minutes, if that. And there's a labor law that if you get a break, it's not, if you're over 18, there's no law saying you have to take a break, which I think is weird. But if your employer allows you to take a break, if it's 20 minutes or less, it has to be paid. He's got to know that stuff, but he purposely just pushes, because people don't push back. And that's not something I really want to get into, and I don't think a lot of other people do either. So that's the kind of stuff I always had to deal with, the managers and the owner. So as I was saying, when I went in, I was talking to my buddy, and he was like, yeah, he wanted to know why you quit again. He asked me again, and I just don't want to get in the middle of it. I'm like, I don't blame you. But it's driving me crazy because he has my phone number. I have his. He could call me. He could text me. He could have asked me. He had told me many times before when we were having problems quitting. I forgot to mention this when I said it before. We were having problems with people quitting when I was assistant manager, and before that, with people quitting and not sticking around. It's how you act, pal. And it's how the people you're putting your most trust into act. Okay? I tried to tell you. You immediately started talking over me, accused me of being offended. And you always told me when all these people were quitting, he was getting frustrated with it. He was like, Josh, if you ever quit, please just give me a 2-week notice. Everyone there called me Josh, not Moose. So I put my 2-week notice in and he fired me. And it's just like, dude, first of all, what don't you get? And then secondly, okay, maybe you don't get it. Me and many other people have tried to explain it to you and you don't get it. And then I had a bad dream about it last night, and it woke me up very early in the morning. I've been up since 3. It's 10 o'clock now. And it's like, man, I talked to my wife about it last night. I was like, I want to just call him up and be like, hey, man, listen. Every time I go into the store or talk to someone that I used to work with there, they're always telling me something you're saying behind my back. I'm getting tired of it. So if you have something to say it to me right now. Because if I hear something again, I'm going to be upset. And I was like, man, that's kind of your call. I don't know. That's not something I would do. I would just let it go, I was like, maybe, next time someone brings it up, I should just be like, hey, listen, I don't want to hear it. I woke up from that bad dream today, and all day I keep thinking about it. I'm like, I should just call him up and be like, dude, I'm tired of hearing this. If you have something to say it. And if you're not going to say it, stop. Stop talking. In a nice but forward kind of way. I don't know. Anyways, I've been talking about being low on firewood, but I have some firewood that needs split. I was doing this thing for a while. I think I had mentioned it before, where I was going through I started this months ago. I think at the beginning of the summer, where I would just I was going through my phone, every single name. Almost every single name. I was calling people in my phone that, there's a ton of people I just don't talk to regularly. Some people I called and I remembered why I don't talk to them. But most people was a very pleasant surprise, and it was nice to just catch up with people, and we would have nice, long, in-depth conversations, Well, one of them was someone I used to work with at the hardware store. He was a manager there when I started. And one thing about doing these phone calls, I realized that I was like, why did we fall out of contact, Why didn't I try harder to keep these people closer in my life, And this guy that I called up that I used to work with there, I had that feeling. Or that thought process, Well, this was months ago when we talked, and he was just getting over some health problems. So we had a nice, long, in-depth conversation. I was like, man, I forgot how much I got along with this guy, And we were keeping in contact still. Well, yesterday I went to the bank because I wanted to deposit some birthday money that my daughter got for her birthday. And my neighbor, older guy, has a log splitter, and he said it's kind of a little dinky thing. It was a little older, so I thought it might be pretty good, and it looked pretty good. It started right up and all this. He said it'd sell to me for $200, which right now is a lot. But yesterday when I went to the bank, I was like, I'm going to go deposit this money in my daughter's savings, and then I'm going to pull $200 out of my savings to get it. Well, on the way to the bank, I kept thinking back and forth. I'm like, nah, I shouldn't get it. Nah, you know what? Let's just pull the trigger and get it. Nah, I shouldn't get it, right? And then I remembered, when I talked to my friend, he said I can use his log splitter. And I was like, So I called him up, and he's like, yeah, man, you come get it tomorrow. So that was yesterday. So today, he was like, I'm up at 5:30. Text me whenever. So I was up at like 3. But I ate breakfast, made coffee, got a shower, watched YouTube and stuff. So right around 6:30 or 6 o'clock, I texted him. I said, "Hey man, shoot me your address whenever you're ready for me to come over." He pretty much immediately texted me back with his address. So I got to his place, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I got back here at like just after 9:30. So we hooked it up right away to my, to the hitch on my car, and we ended up talking for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was just a nice conversation. We didn't talk about politics, or we didn't talk about what this person did or what that person said. It was just a nice conversation. It was great. So since I have the log splitter, the wood that's ready to burn this year, I'm going to split. So that should get me through, I'm hoping it should give me like another month, and I have about a month's worth. So that should be December and January. Hopefully I can stretch it out. I found some wood that I forgot about, some scraps I stored in my shed over the summer because it was kind of waterlogged and it dried out. I was hoping it would, and it did. It dried out. And actually some of that's what I just put in here now. But and there's still some smaller downed trees that fell down in the woods behind my house. It's a hill, so it's gonna be a pain to I don't have a tractor or anything, but I have a wheelbarrow and a chainsaw. So I'm like, if I cut them up into manageable sizes, put them in the wheelbarrow and bring them up if I need to. So maybe I'll do some of that today too while I have his log splitter. But that's what I'm gonna do today. So I don't know. What would you guys do with the if you had a job and the owner or manager or whatever just kept doing that kind of stuff, did that stuff to you, and then just was always, it's like he knows his other employees that I'm friends with, that he tells them that he wants me to reach out first or something, but he's doing it in such an immature way, and he's like my parents' age, and I'm just like, I want to let it go, but I also just want to say something. I feel like if it's bothering me, I should just say something, but the other part of me is just like, I don't even want the drama, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I couldn't even talk to you before. So, I don't know. What would you guys do? I'd appreciate if you let me know. But I'm going to be pumping out content. Just, I've seen bands that I find on TikTok and Instagram and stuff that have blown up just from, they make videos of just whatever, just anything. And it's just their song behind it and the text that just says, looking for all the people into hardcore or pop punk or whatever. And, I was just thinking yesterday I did it. So I was like, day one of posting until I find all my people. And then this morning I made a video. I put it in my drafts. I'm going to post it here in a minute. It was like day 2. So I was just going to do day 3, day 4, and just keep going until I can, so I'm so worried about annoying you guys, but it doesn't seem like it's annoying you. So just please keep liking it and commenting and sharing to keep it in the feed. Every time I do it, it's like I get one more follower, so I'm just like, okay, if I keep grinding, hopefully it'll just snowball. I appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea how much it helps, man. It's doing all this and knowing that you guys are there is just like, I don't know, it's really cool. So thanks, and I'm glad that there's something I do that you guys like and think I'm really good at it. So I'll see you guys in the next vlog tomorrow.